Hi everybody, how are you? Beautiful day. Let's take advantage of it. We only have a few more, I think. As many of you know, I am the mayor of the village of Richfield. We're up north in Summit County. It's in a beautiful area. This year with AMATS has been even more impressive than 2018, and I think we did quite a bit in 2018. 2019 was the year that AMATS was heard by our state's policymakers. In March, the policy committee expressed its support to Governor DeWine and the General Assembly for a politically risky increase in the state gas tax to fund Ohio's transportation needs. Shortly thereafter, the committee went a step further to urge policymakers to approve a dedicated source of state funding for public transit across Ohio. All of that was necessary, and I applaud the state for taking those steps. And I want to thank everybody here because we really worked hard on ensuring we got the proper letters out to the proper policymakers. Thank you, Curtis, for that. I'm pleased to report that the gas tax increase was approved by our leaders in Columbus, and in April, Governor DeWine signed a 2-year budget that provides a new revenue for infrastructure improvements. The state also provided a significant increase in transit funding that will hopefully lead to a dedicated source of a state funding bucket that they'll keep in the future. We'll see where that all goes. We'll have to keep on them. In May, AMATS approved a new preservation needs report highlighting the maintenance needs of the region from now through 2045. This report estimates that the greater Akron area will need nearly $4 billion just to preserve our existing system. We should remember that while that figure is staggering, it also represents the needs of a single region. Like AMATS, many metropolitan planning organizations and councils of government across the nation are seeking pieces of a federal funding pie that is likely to continue to shrink. I'm giving you great news here, I apologize. In June, the agency completed updates to the AMATS funding policy guidelines, which define how AMATS administers the federal funding programs for which it is responsible. These guidelines were quickly put to the test over the summer when the agency began accepting project applications to the Surface Transportation Block Grant, Resurfacing, and the Transportation Alternatives Set Aside, or TASA as we call them, programs. The AMATS Policy Committee is now on track to approve over $14 million of infrastructure projects in December. It has been an honor to serve as your policy chair, and I look forward to all of the great things that continue in the region and under the direction of Curtis Baker and everyone who works at AMATS. And thank you very much. Have a good day.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 2019 AMATS annual meeting. We are thrilled that so many of you have come to join us today. This is one of our largest turnouts in the event's history since we started it about 10 years ago, so we're thrilled to have everyone here. I hope you enjoyed your time networking this morning with colleagues, and I'm confident that today you'll find a very engaging and enlightening program that we have in store for you. I hope you've also enjoyed our animation, which broke the bank this year. Just kidding. All right, so this year's annual meeting would not have taken shape without the generous help of our event sponsors. I'd like to thank DLZ, GPD Group, Manick and Smith Group, PARTA, OHM, MS Consultants, Environmental Design Group, Envision, and Prime AE. The AMATS staff and members appreciate your contribution to this event, and we thank you for your partnership. We really couldn't do it without you, and our consulting partners are so important in this process of transportation planning and construction. So this year, as has been tradition, I'd like to review the current transportation funding climate, projects that we have that are currently under construction, and then some of our agency initiatives and emphasis areas. Unlike the mayor who just spoke, I will try to start with the negative and end on the positive. So we'll start with some of the negative stuff, but then we'll just power right through. So this is always fun to look at. Starting with the federal transportation funding, let's take a look at where we are right now. The FAST Act, which authorized spending for highways and mass transit and kept the Highway Trust Fund solvent, expires in 2021. It's up to the federal government to find a way to stabilize the trust fund and provide funding authorization for the future. Currently in 2022, there is a $15 billion deficit projected in the trust fund if no new revenue is found. The FAST Act, which was passed in, I believe, December of 15, but it took place for 2016, had a $70 billion shortfall, which was made up through budgeting gimmicks like selling oil reserves, collecting custom fees, and privatizing some IRS collections. At some point, we need to find a true pay for the infrastructure needs in our region and for the country. On a positive note, which there aren't many on the federal landscape, but on the positive note, in July, the Senate Environment and Public Works Committee advanced a $287 billion bill that would replace the FAST Act. This bill would increase levels of funding by 27% from our current levels. The bill was developed in a bipartisan fashion and has the support of the president, but yet it still remains to be seen if we have the traction needed for it to be approved before the end of the year, or before the end of next year. And as you can imagine, the sticking point is how to pay for it. Currently, a gas tax increase is off the table, but I know for our region, we still believe that that is a viable source of funding the next 5 years of transportation. As Mayor Beshara mentioned, and I'm sure Director Marchbanks will also discuss, Ohio passed its first state gas tax increase since 2005. Yes, yeah, it was excellent news. The AMATS Policy Committee supported Governor Mike DeWine's initial proposal, and we were pleased with the end result, which brought an additional 62% increase to local communities. It also created $70 million in general revenue for our local transit agencies, which is going to be able to be used for matching federal funds, so we also applaud the state for that as well. It's very good news. On the local level, AMATS continues to analyze the costs of maintaining our federally eligible roadways and our bridges through 2045. The cost right now is estimated to be around $3.7 billion in current year dollars. With inflation, the real cost of this will most likely be closer to $5 billion. This only includes 25% of the roadways that are in need of maintenance, as it only includes our eligible roads from federal funds. It has and will continue to be AMAT's #1 policy to fix it first, and we must focus on maintaining what we currently have, above all else. And I think we see in our region that the need has never been greater. This summer, we opened a round of funding for communities for our STBG, resurfacing, and TASA program, and while we projected to have only $16 million available for funding, we received requests for $78.7 million in federal funds. We also received another $36.5 million in requests for CMAQ funds. Unfortunately, AMATS is only going to be able to fund about 20% of what has been requested. It strikes right at the heart of what has been, it strikes right at the heart of the need that we have, especially for the federal transportation dollar that really helps our local communities. And while we can't fund every project, you may have noticed just a few orange barrels in the greater Akron area this summer, just a few, and we're going to highlight a couple of those projects right now. So for those of us that commute to and from the north, you are acutely aware of the State Route 8 concrete replacement job in Stowe and Hudson. This project at roughly $60 million is to fix the poor concrete stretch of roadway from Graham to State Route 303. The project is expected to be wrapped up by the fall of 2021. Akron's Tiger Grant is also continuing in downtown Akron and making progress. The State Street Bridge is being replaced as part of the project, as well as the Main Street reconstruction that will include wide sidewalks and a cycle track through the area. The total project cost is an estimated $20 million. A new sidewalk has been constructed on State Route 18 in the Montrose area of Bath Township. This project was a direct recommendation of the Montrose Connecting Communities Planning Grant that was completed in 2015. This is the first in a number of pedestrian recommendations around Montrose area that we hope to see completed in the next few years. The largest AMATS funded project this year is Howe Avenue in Cuyahoga Falls. Work began this year on a $7.7 million complete road reconstruction from State Route 8 to Buchholzer. Two-lane traffic will resume, actually will resume starting next Monday in Cuyahoga Falls, so you can start your holiday shopping. Two-way traffic will resume next week, and then construction will start again in the spring. The entire project is to be anticipated to be completed in the fall of 2010. Fall of 2020. Sorry. Yeah. This is not Back to the Future. City of Norton combined two phases of their Cleveland-Massillon Improvement project into an $11 million one that is underway from Pleasant Drive to Weber Drive. The project will include sidewalks and signal upgrades, and it will also be completed in 2020. Twinsburg is constructing phase 2 of its State Route 91 project. It includes a roundabout at 91 and Meadowwood Boulevard, includes a new sidewalk from Glenwood to the Cuyahoga County Corp line, and the project is an estimated cost of $5 million. So I'd also be remiss, those are just a few of the projects that we currently have under construction, but I'd be remiss if we don't talk a little bit about the AMATS resurfacing program. In the light of the condition of our roads, I believe the AMATS resurfacing program plays a critical role in helping our communities offset the costs of local maintenance. In a little over a decade since we started the program, AMATS has funded $37.3 million in resurfacing projects. This number will grow as we add into that total in our current round of funding. The roadway in this picture is Sanitarium Road in Lakemore. It's just one of the many locations in our region that has benefited from this program in fiscal year 2019, where we invested an additional $2.1 million in resurfacing. Because the resurfacing program is so important, AMATS has hired Pavement Management Group to accurately measure and grade the condition of our roadways. Under this new initiative, AMATS will use pavement condition index data to not only select future projects, but also determine what is the most appropriate level of funding to invest in our program in the next future rounds of funding. AMATS will also be starting a new round of Connecting Communities planning grants in 2020. These grants provide communities funds to help integrate transportation and land use decisions. This will be the fourth round of funding since the grant program began in 2012. AMATS continues to be very heavily involved in advocating for pedestrians and cyclists. AMATS developed 3 bike and brainstorms in West Akron, Kenmore, and Hudson this year, as well as participated in a number of Safe Routes to School events. AMATS is finalizing its 2019 Active Transportation Plan, which will look at both pedestrian and cycling infrastructure and policy. Finally, AMATS updated its bike user map in 2019, which has been a hot commodity in bike shops and local gathering spots. So to conclude, the Akron Metropolitan Area Transportation Study provides communities in our region the opportunity to convene and determine transportation policy at the local level. AMATS is a powerful tool in the toolbox of local communities that can be used to realize community transformation and improvement. As the staff of that organization, it is our job to make sure that you have everything you need to set and carry out regional priorities. It's with the commitment of you, our members, just lost my spot. It's with the commitment of you, our members, that ensures that our region is positioned well for the future. And I thank you all for your commitment to making Greater Akron a better place. And thank you, and we'll move on with the program.